Alright, I started recording. What the fuck? I guess that's going in the recording too. Okay, so today I'm gonna do, well, I'm just gonna show you how to set up a scene that looks pretty nice. Yeah. So we have this little duck here, and I'm going to light him up, but first I want to put some ambient occlusion on this to make it look nicer. So you can see now there's ambient occlusion. So the way I did, maybe I should go back. So in the render, there's this viewport 2.0. In the older version, you'll probably see like I don't know, it's like a high quality legacy or something like that. But anyways, you can click the option box, and then in here there's a lot of options. But right now we're really only concerned with ambient occlusion, and we want a higher sample size to make the AO look a little nicer. And then over here you can play with the settings to make the AO larger or smaller. But I'll just leave it at the default because it's good enough for this. And I share what this this just makes it grainier, I think. Yeah, you can just play the settings. And then anti-aliasing, you can also do this to make it look a little smoother. So now you can see his edges there a little bit smoother. So yeah, that's about it for the options in the option settings. So now you can start setting up lighting. So in Maya, you know about like the 4, 5, 6. This is like the texture, and then the wireframe. But you can also hit 7 to do lights. And right now there's no lights in here, so because I usually start by just putting in an ambient light, so then I can make all the colors blown out, and it looks really bad. So obviously we're gonna have to tone that down. I don't know why Maya does this, but it makes it a little hard to click up here. But if you just click on the ambient light shape, then you can change the intensity of things. So I'm gonna turn it down a bit. I'm gonna come back to this later to modify after I put in my other lights, but right now this should be okay. I have it at 0.422. And then this is going to be our key light. I use a directional light. So the key light can often be cast kind of from the camera. So if you know your 3-point lighting stuff, then you know like you need a light here. And this looks a little bit blown out still, so this light should probably be your strongest light too most of the time. So I'm gonna actually turn down the ambient light a bit, more than a bit, and then turn this up more. And you can change the color too to make it look different, but right now I'm gonna click shadows. So you're used to using ray trace shadows, which gives you harsh shadows, but right now we're not seeing anything actually. So you're gonna have to go to shading, and then what the shade now it's lighting, and then over here you click on shadows, and now you see we have the shadow of the duck. So like I said, you usually used to using ray trace shadows, but that gives you this harsh edge here. So we're actually gonna use depth map shadows. Right now it looks harsher, but you can turn up the resolution here to make it look nicer. So now it's like pretty clean. You can even turn it up to like, I don't know, as high as you want. I guess not. It seems like 8,000 is the max, so we'll just leave it at 8,000. And then over here you can change the filter size. So now you can see it's a little more blurred out. And then this bias, I'm not exactly sure what this does, but if you want to change it, you can. And then this thing, this fog shadow intensity we're not concerned with. So yeah. So if you crank up the filter size, then it'll give you a bit of a softer shadow. And then we're gonna need the the backlight also to fill out the back of the duck. That way we can kind of get that rim lighting there on the edge, and then we don't want this to cast shadows because that would look ugly. And this is a little bit too bright too, so It's my 40,000 poly duck here. Kind of want to change the color of it just to make it look nicer. Obviously, you're not going to be concerned with changing color when you do this, but I'm just doing this just for my own. Yeah, I'm just going to be playing around with it. There, let's make him look a little nicer, a little more saturated, so he doesn't quite look so pale. Oh, what the fuck? This motherfucker coming in a spaceship. Oh, yep, there we go. And then the pink. Kind of want to change the pink too. So if you can just kind of skip ahead if you don't want to see me changing the colors of this duck, the colors of the wind. Yeah. So, like I said before, you can also change the color of this light to match the mood that you want. So, let's say in this case, I want kind of like the orangey sunset kind of light. So, this looks more like twilight. Maybe that's not what I want. Yeah, so just play with these settings. And then, yeah, I think this is looking pretty nice. To me, at least. You can disagree if you want. The light here, also make it a little blue for the contrast. Make it kind of darker. Yeah, so now we're kind of getting like a twilight-ish. Yeah, so mostly it's just these three lights. There's like your key light here, this directional light that I use, and then your backlight, and then there's your fill light or ambient light. You can also use an area light or a spotlight even if you want, so instead of a directional light. So I'll show you that right now. So right here, spotlight. Obviously it's going to be too bright at the moment because I still have my directional light. So let's turn this. Actually, there's an easier way to do this. You can just change it in here. Spotlight. There we go. And then we wanted to. That's not changing. That doesn't seem to do anything. Whatever. I'll just use a spotlight then. Oh wait, it's because I had that turned off. Sorry. Illuminate side. There we go. Yep. Now we have the shadow. So then again, as before, you can play with the settings to make these whatever you want. So kind of more dramatic this way. I can make the cone angle larger. And then pull it back. There, I kind of like that, so can leave it at that. And yeah, that's actually pretty much it. You can also, for more complicated objects, you might want a light to kind of highlight an important part. So for this, I'm gonna use an area light. So let's say I want to kind of illuminate his face more. And take this area light that I just created and then make it. Whoa, I can't see the side of his face. And then kind of tone down the intensity of it. We're probably gonna want some decay here. And yeah, probably gonna want it a bit wider actually, so it's not so obvious, and then pull it back a bit. There's casting a shadow you can see there, so I'm gonna turn it off. Yeah, that kind of fills out his face a little bit more, so it's not quite so dark. You can see the front this way. It's more lit up. Might be a bit much even. Yeah. Yep. So that's actually about it. And this is actually not for. Well, I suppose a render could look okay with this. That looks like garbage to me. Um, yeah, this is actually more for like just screenshots and playblasts, especially for animation. You can do this to set up animations to look a lot nicer, and then this way you don't have to like wait for hours just to do a render, as well as having to set up everything. Like you can see, this kind of looks pretty close to a render already. So if I turn out the lights here, and then turn out this grid, it actually looks kind of decent. The light on his face is probably too strong, but I can show you another example of something I did before. So I already have this lighting set up, and then I can import one of my animations, and then you can see that this like this really makes animations look a lot nicer just because there's like lighting and shadow. So let's do this run cycle. So there's a bit, whoa. Oh, it's Z fighting. Let me delete that. There. So if I did it without shadow, this is what it would look like. It's really like dull, even though the animation looks okay. The need to loop this right. 26. The animation is fine, but then this doesn't look as exciting as this. That's my rice cooker going off. So this lighting setup is actually there's a little trick to make animations and like screenshots look nicer for a demo reel. If you're doing a model, if you're just like doing modeling and you want to show off your texture, this is also a pretty good way because you don't have to like go through the hassle of like setting up a render and everything. And then for animation especially, most animators don't really like to light stuff. So in this case, you can see I used the directional light here, and then this is an ambient light for the fill light, and then there's the point light on the back to fill it out. And you can see each of these lights actually contributes to the scene. So like this, it might be a little bit dark, so then this kind of just fills out the side there. There's obviously your key light, it's the brightest light. And then with the ambient light, it just kind of just brightens everything up so you can see better. And then in this case, let's say I want his head to show up better, then like before, I can create either like an area light or a spotlight or something, or a point light. I just use an area light. And then I can make his head brighter. So now his head will be shiny. This might be a bit much, so I can tone it down. That's at 0 now, so that just kind of like illuminates his head more. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you learned something from this, and yeah, I hope you could make sense of my very incoherent rambling. Yes. Bye bye.